Oh, hey there. So we're talking about the fruits of the Spirit, and the last one is self-control. And this one gets overlooked a lot, okay? I see people and they go, well, I just can't help it. You don't understand. I'm addicted, or this is my personality, this is just how I am. I've been diagnosed with whatever disorder thing. And so you're just gonna have to accept me like this. And God's gonna have to accept me with this, and me and God, we have an agreement. So yeah, you need to shut your stupid mouth. That's what you need to do. And I'm like, okay, maybe. Okay, maybe. There have been times in my life where I've been addicted to all kinds of things. I've had all kinds of bad habits. Basically, everything you can possibly imagine is bad. I've been a big part of that somehow, okay? And there came a point where I realized I don't want to be owned by this thing. I don't want to be a slave to this sin. And so what that means is I have to have self-control. I have to go, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard for me to reprogram my brain, to change my habits, to change something that I have been addicted to, both mentally and physically, that was an addiction for me. It's going to take self-control to do that. It's going to take self-control for me to not drink, smoke, cuss, do drugs, on and on and on. It's going to take self-control for me to eat right. It's going to take self-control for me to exercise, for me to go running. It's going to take self-control for me to be kind to people, for me to hold my tongue. These things take self-control. It takes discipline, right? And yet that should be something that's listed. It's listed as one of the fruits of the Spirit. Like, if you're growing in Christ, you should have self-control. You should. You should start to get bad things out of your life and get good things in your life. You should start to go, you know what? I don't feel like this pleases God. Therefore, I'm going to stop doing that. Now, let me tell you whose place it is to do that. It's your own. It's not my place to say to you, you should or should not do such and such a thing. Okay, that's not my place. That is your place. If you want help, I can tell you that every time you say yes to something, it gets easier and easier to say yes to that thing. And every time you say no to something, it gets easier and easier to say no to that thing. And what I mean by that is, the first time I smoked a cigarette, there was a huge moral dilemma in my mind, right? Like, do I want to be a smoker? What does this mean? Whatever. The second, third, fifth, 100th time I smoked a cigarette, who cares, right? It got easier and easier and easier. Now, the first time I had to say no to something like weed, the first time I said no to acid, the first time I said no to meth, was a big thing for me. Like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can, like, I don't even know if it's in me to say no to this. And then as time passed, it got easier and easier and easier. And now, if you offered me any of those things, I'd be like, no thanks, I'd rather smash my face into a brick wall. Because I know that I was in that cage, and I got out of that cage. I know how difficult it was, okay? I'm not saying it's not difficult, but now that I'm out, I don't want to go back in. I don't want to go back in that cage. It does take self-control. That should be one of the natural things that happens to you when you're Christians. You should start to want to get the bad things out and want to get the good things in, so that you're pleasing to God, so that everything He asks you to do makes yourself better, right? It makes your own self better, and you're a better example to other people. It is difficult for me to say, you should get off drugs while I've got a needle in my arm. It is difficult for me to say you shouldn't cuss while I'm mother effing telling you, right? Like, this becomes hypocritical. And so if I want to get the speck out of your eye, I have to get the plank out of my own eye, and that does take self-control. Love you guys.